Are you ready to branch out, to take a leap of faith, to love yourself and others fully? Then let go of whatever no longer serves you to take action now on Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills, living it up, loving it up, and letting it go. Erica will energize and excite you to power up your passionate dream that sets your soul on fire. With Erica's E3 approach, equipping, empowering, and enlightening yourself so you can be yourself for yourself. Get ready and get rooted to live a life without regrets, without what ifs, without should haves, and especially without empty feelings from a life unexplored. This hit show helps you build powerful and intentional roots to live it up, love it up, and let it go. Get fearlessly ready and powerfully rooted in your yes with your host, Erica Gifford Mills, and be fearless about your more and stand in your yes. Now on Get Rooted Radio.
Welcome, everyone. I am Erica Gifford Mills, and you are listening to a special episode of Get Rooted Radio, living it up, loving it up, letting it go, right here on Transformation Talk Revolution. A shout out today to my producer, Jessica. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Erica. I'm very happy to be here with you as well.
And I do want to personally, again, thank you and Transformation Talk Revolution for allowing these special episodes. It means more to me than you will know. Today's episode is titled Military Mental Health, Storytelling, Purpose, and Prevention. My guest today, Caitlyn Scaggs, joins in the conversation to explore how connection, purpose, and community can become powerful sources of preventing and healing. Drawing from her work with Stop Soldier Suicide, Caitlyn will share about this national nonprofit and how meaningful human connection can save lives. The conversation reflects on what it looks like to honor our stories and lean into what truly matters, which embodies the heart of living it up, loving it up, and letting it go. A bit about Caitlyn. She is the National Director of Marketing and Communications at Stop Soldier Suicide and the author of Worth It and Wonderful. Her work sits at the intersection of storytelling, purpose, and prevention, using words to help people feel less alone and to move communities toward action. She is deeply committed to honoring the lives and experience of veterans and service members through connection, compassion, and hope. Thank you so much for the work that you do, Caitlyn, and for being on today's episode.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
So during this first segment, we're going to discuss from personal purpose to collective impact. Can you share a bit about your personal journey and what led you to the work you do today?
Yeah, it has certainly been a journey full of twists and turns. I like to talk about the plot twists of my life, but my initial roots are actually in law enforcement. So long before I had a marketing title, I was a patrol officer on midnight shift. And so much purpose was rooted in that first job. I felt deeply about connecting with people, often when they were at their worst. And in that role, I intersected suicide and the reality of suicide in so many different ways, whether it was being a first responder and walking through those early moments of loss with individuals, or helping individuals in crisis such that it could have a different ending. So suicide really was a significant part of my role in law enforcement. Now, fast forward all these years later, we started a family. And as we did, I pursued a career change such that I could be home and have more of a regular schedule, get rid of those midnight hours. And I found a passion for marketing and communications. A lot of people say they don't understand how that transition could have happened and perhaps happened so seamlessly. But for me, it is rooted in people. It's rooted in the stories. It's rooted in standing by individuals to listen well, to lean in, and to amplify the best of humanity. So that's how I started in law enforcement, and I ended up in marketing, and now with Stop Soldier Suicide.
And I thank you for your service in law enforcement and for what you do at Stop Soldier Suicide. So I would like to know, how did your own experiences shape your understanding of purpose and connection? And you talked a little bit about it when you were saying it's about the people, but what does that living with intention mean to you during this season of your life?
Yeah, well, I think that it really comes down to holding space for others, and that can sound so nice on the surface. So what does that really mean? It truly means time and pausing this busy world that we live in to listen well, to listen with an open mind, to consider that someone else's lived experience could be vastly different from ours, but yet equally valid. And that is something that I've learned through law enforcement and through marketing, through the ability to write stories for others or share lost survivor blogs on the Stop Soldier Suicide website. So that's one piece of it, certainly, is living with purpose in the workplace and leaning into others and allowing stories to drive us forward. I would say, secondly, that we can't ignore the personal side of things. And on this personal journey of mine, I'm realizing with two middle schoolers and a husband who's a first responder that I have to be equally committed to how I lean into purpose in my home life so that I can be the best version of myself when I show up to work and the life-saving mission of Stop Soldier Suicide. So really, it's a 360-degree commitment. It's not just something that shows up professionally. It's something I also have to apply in my everyday.
Which is really neat that you see that. Because I think sometimes we don't see those interconnections. It's always hard to leave work at work and leave home at home. And when we see that it's all intertwined and a part of one another, I think we learn that it's okay because it's going to spill over. And I think having that background that you do in law enforcement and understanding of what goes on out there in the community is been probably very beneficial for you.
It has been. And to your point, this idea of the threads of connectivity, that it's not like we truly close the door to work and shift over and become someone else in our personal life, but rather seeing how it all has play and connection and flow, it actually is best for everyone. And it's something I feel strongly about, that motherhood and family makes me better in the workplace, but the workplace makes me better as a mother and a wife and a family member. And one of my favorite things is to invite my children into the work that I do in age appropriate ways, to share with them if the day was hard. I don't just say my work day was good if it was difficult. If I spoke with a lost survivor and my heart is feeling heavy, I honor that and I say that out loud, and I always remind them I will be okay, but part of being human is feeling it, and right now I'm feeling it. And in doing so, I become more real to them. And I also honor the totality of who I am. I'm not checking my own emotions and feelings and experiences for the sake of wearing the mom badge. I'm allowing myself to be fully human. So all of this really goes back to what we're talking about, right? About leaning into purpose and humanity and who we really are, and holding space to include the space we hold for ourselves.
Oh, 100%. And it also lets your kids see you're human, and
Yes.
that it's okay to not be okay and to talk about it, because sometimes that's what gets people stuck. So when did you realize that storytelling and connection could be a pathway to healing, not just personally, but for others?
Yeah, wow, what a question. Well, along the career journey, I had the privilege of working in an anti-trafficking nonprofit as well. And I traveled to the Dominican Republic, which is where the nonprofit exists. And I was able to document some of the stories of the survivors and the warriors down there. And that for me was a very clarifying moment when I watched not only the empowerment that came when those individuals shared their story, but I felt my own response, and I felt my own deepening of understanding of just how strong the human spirit is and how hope can thrive in places that maybe we wouldn't have imagined. And excuse me, it just furthered my resolve to listen well to stories, and to how listening to lived experiences is one of the most powerful gifts we can both give and receive. And so while I guess I knew it before, that was a very galvanizing experience. So now transition into my work with Stop Soldier Suicide. I have the unique experience to listen to loss survivors as they share about their grief and journey, but also their strength and resolve moving forward. I also have the opportunity to talk to individuals who have pursued counseling with us and who are walking in recovery, and to feel the inspiration that comes from that. And as I do, what I know is it mobilizes others to action. When they hear the stories, they want to get into this work with us. They want to join the fight. They want to support. The other thing I know is when individuals are given an opportunity to feel received, to feel heard, to allow their story to get air and not live in silence, there is healing in that. And I feel the healing, and it actually, it's one of the most incredible experiences I have in the workplace, is to be able to be present and part of that healing.
And it's something, right? Because for me, I was asked once, why do you do this? Doesn't it hurt? And I said, no, it's oddly healing. Of course, it sometimes breaks open those wounds, but when I can show my scars, when I can do it in a strategic way, I know it's helping other people. And if I can help somebody else, then the pain turns into purpose.
Yes.
And that's something that's so much more meaningful and, a legacy for me and for my son, which we'll get into a little bit later. But let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about connection as a lifeline. But before we go, Caitlyn, tell folks how they can connect with you, learn more about Stop Soldier Suicide and all the wonderful things you do.
Sure. Well, I suggest going to stopsoldiersuicide.org as a starting place. You'll learn how you can get involved, learn more about our organization. If you want to look for me on LinkedIn, Caitlyn Scaggs, I'd be happy to connect with you there. You can also find my book on Amazon. It's called Worth It and Wonderful. It's a bright red cover. It's hard to miss.
Thank you so much. You are listening to a special military mental health edition of Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Are you passionate about impacting social change or working towards anti-racism as a society? Are you willing to deconstruct your innermost thoughts, ideas, and beliefs about racism? Then Inflection Point Podcast, Cultivating Change from the Inside Out, is the show for you. Join Anita Russell, Mavis Bauman, and Gail Hunter in open, honest, and deliberate conversations every first and third Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, only on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Pat. I'm the host of the Dr. Pat Show, and I am the creator of the Transformation Network, doing what we do in the world of positive radio, informed, educated, positive media. Independent radio hosts and independent networks have been the face of positive messaging over the past decade. So all of us here have decided we're going to put together an independent network that is going to enable people to bring their positive message of hope, inspiration, and conscious action to the forefront. Help us create a future of amazing, uplifting stories that can be told so we can tell our children and they can tell their children of what hope and conscious action is all about.
I want to thank you all for tuning us in, turning us on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Do you want to become a host? Start your own podcast to inspire, persuade, and influence others on what you're passionate about? At the Transformation Network, we can help make your talk radio dreams happen. Let's take your hopes, dreams, and passions and put them on air today. Email us at host@transformationtalkradio.com to learn more about becoming a host of your very own show.
Welcome back to the special edition of Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. If you missed any portion of today's episode, you can catch it on GetRootedRadio.com. Don't forget to subscribe online to receive the latest news, events, specials, and words of encouragement. Go to GetRootedRadio.com. Welcome back to my guest, Caitlyn Scaggs. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
So during our first segment, we discussed personal purpose to collective impact. And during this segment, we're going to talk about connection as a lifeline. So your work with Stop Soldier Suicide Now, can you tell us what that organization and the mission is?
Absolutely. So Stop Soldier Suicide is the only national nonprofit that is exclusively dedicated to curbing the suicide epidemic within the military community. That is our laser focus each and every day. Now, the way we approach that is through two primary lines of effort. First, we have Roger Wellness Service. That's our clinical model. That is one-to-one suicide-specific care. It's evidence-based and it's entirely free to veterans and service members. It's free regardless of discharge status. They don't have to worry if something's going to report up or out to a commanding officer. We make it accessible. So that's the first line, is Roger Wellness. Now, secondly, we have a groundbreaking data initiative called Black Box Project. So think of the black box in an airplane and how that helps folks understand what might have happened when there's an aviation crash. Similar concept. We take cell phones and other devices from individuals who's died by suicide. They're courageously loaned to us by families, and we're able to de-identify the data and use AI and other leading data science techniques to make sense of that data, to better understand what led to a suicidal outcome. So we look at Roger as a way to help individuals in a one-to-one, save lives one at a time. And then Black Box Project is really how we're going to solve for suicide at scale. So one-to-one versus the scale, but together, both of those components are so necessary to push back on suicide within the military and frankly, beyond.
Yes. And let's just repeat that. The Roger Wellness, it's free, it's accessible, it's not going to be reported up. So if there's any concern, you're currently active military or you're a vet, like folks, stop soldier suicide, stopsoldier.org, please, you want to reach out and really get that. And because in my opinion, this is again, my opinion, that people are afraid to get help because they're afraid of the repercussions that it might have on their advancement, on their what they're going to be seen as. And so knowing that this is free, knowing that this is accessible, there should be no reason why we can't get that message out there a little bit more.
Yeah, and you can refer a friend or a family member if someone you love is of concern. If you're worried about them, when you hit that Get Help button on our website, excuse me, you can request support for a loved one. So for yourself or someone else, but it is free, it is accessible. And I would also add it's military competent. So it's peers, it's individuals who understand military culture, and you're going to feel welcomed. Our whole goal is to remove barriers to care. So if you're listening and you need support, please, please, please give it a try. StopSoldierSuicide.org and hit that Get Help button.
Now, as you said, connection is central to your mission at Stop Soldier Suicide. Why is that so powerful?
Well, I think I need to start with a chilling statistic, and it's that we know 2/3 of our veterans who die by suicide never tell anyone that they're thinking about it. They never ask for help. They never raise a hand. So what I hear is they're in isolation with their struggles and their challenges. So knowing that, it is critical that we are wrapping our veterans and our military community in support, in connection, in a sense of belonging, because we have to push back on the silence that is causing us to lose too many veterans and service members each and every year. So that statistic really grounds me in the mission at hand. The other thing we know that suicide broadly has a risk factor of loneliness, isolation, and therefore a sense of belonging counteracts it. So that is why we have to be so committed to meaningful and healthy connections, yes, with veterans, because that's who Stop Soldier Suicide serves, but anyone listening, this is for all of us, for all connections we have in life. It's a basic human need to have a sense of connection and belonging.
Yeah, and that is hits so close to home for me, because when you don't know somebody's hurting, it's hard to help because you don't know. But there can always be signs. We'll get into that a little bit later. But do you think that people often misunderstand the suicide risk, especially among veterans?
I do, because veterans, we love to see them for the absolute best of what they are, which is strong. And so if there's a hidden struggle behind the scenes, I think our default is to see the strength and see the best and want to believe that. And I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that, right? That is us admiring and respecting some of our favorite people and seeing them for all that they offer this world. But if we over-index on that and we forget that there's inherent risk factors that come with being a veteran, that veterans are 58% more likely to die by suicide than civilians, we can't be overlooking those facts that are in front of us. We can't be overlooking the fact that transition's a really difficult time for veterans when they need to find new connection, and almost a new normal after leaving the military. There's so much there for us, that should ground us in the reality that even if a veteran looks strong and fine on the surface, that doesn't always tell the whole picture. It's not to say that every veteran is suicidal. By no means is that true, but it does mean we should be curious and we should be asking questions that take things just a little bit further beneath the surface, and we should be attentive to what we might see going on in the lives of those we love.
Yes, I could not agree more. How does community show up as a form of care and prevention? If we're talking about connection as a lifeline, how does that community show up?
Yeah. Sometimes I chuckle thinking about how many times my mom said there's safety in numbers growing up. Like she would say that all the time. Well, if you're out, there's safety in numbers. And in some ways, I think it comes down to that, not just numbers, but numbers that have a quality to them, right? And a richness to them. But that's really about creating that sense of belonging. It's that when we come together as human beings, when we allow people space to be vulnerable and honest about the good and the bad, we do find strength in those numbers, or we find strength in those connections. The other thing is this idea of silence. Silence saves nobody. Silence is where we're losing our veterans. Silence is where stigma is allowed to be live and well. Silence and shame go hand in hand. None of these things are life-giving. None of these things are life-saving. So silence really is one of the things that we have to push back on. Now we can push back on it through raising awareness, through coming together. So what does that look like? Because that sounds really good, right? What do you mean come together? We can come together digitally. We can come together in person at events. We can come together one-on-one with thoughtful, real check-ins, not just a passing by, hey, how are you kind of text, but truly listening and leaning into more. So there's a myriad of ways that we can create these meaningful and healthy connections, but it does in fact take intention. And as you say, it takes leaning in. We can't just expect it to happen passively. We have to take agency and be active in it.
Yeah, and be persistent, right?
Yes.
Especially if you feel like something's off, just even a little bit. Do you have a story or an example that you could share about one person showing up, how that just one person can truly change the trajectory of someone's life?
Yeah, I do. I have a story of an individual I was able to talk to recently who was really impacted by Stop Soldier Suicide in our work, and I'd love to share it. So her name is Robin, and she lost her son to suicide. And she was, as she described, nearly immobilized by her grief and her loss. And she did not know how to put one foot in front of the other. She didn't know what that could look like. And I remember her talking about like truly being on the floor in grief, like a literal sense, was on the floor, not knowing what to do. Well, then she sees an ad for one of our Stop Soldier Suicide Facebook challenges. And these are where someone commits for 30 days to do something, whether it's push up or run or bike. But the point is they do the thing, they post about us, they raise awareness, they raise dollars. And she was kind of like, well, why not? I mean, I guess what else? What else do I have to lose? So she commits to it. And it was a dog walking challenge. And she talked about how that gave her the nudge to start speaking openly about her loss. And she was afraid of the trolls, and she was afraid of the mean-spiritedness that's rampant on the internet, but she got none of that. She was wrapped in support. She was wrapped in community. She was wrapped in people who said, I know that pain personally too, or I don't know that pain, but I was almost that person who chose suicide. And she was just overwhelmed in the best possible way by how people genuinely cared. And she found her voice, and she began to speak about the loss, and she began to move forward and encourage others to action as well. And as I heard her story, it again just underscored how when we are open and we share and we're vulnerable, and when others listen well, we have an opportunity to heal together. We have an opportunity to change what the future can look like for suicide prevention and our veterans. And I know that I was deeply inspired, and I love knowing that Stop Soldier Suicide had the privilege of being part of her healing journey.
I love that. And I love the challenges. So folks, if you haven't seen those challenges, they're a lot of fun. One last question before we go to our next break is, what in your mind does it look like to truly see, to really see and witness someone who is struggling?
What a question. Well, it takes slowing down. It takes silencing the notifications and the social media scrolls. Um, it takes being curious and maybe even sitting in a little bit of discomfort, of allowing the discomfort of asking the real question and then being okay with what you hear next. It takes noticing patterns and when something doesn't quite fit what you're used to seeing and something has shifted, and actually not letting someone off the hook when your gut tells you something's not right. It takes being persistent, and that can be hard and uncomfortable, but it takes digging in a spirit of love and care.
Yes, thank you so much. So, and I love that. Ask the awkward question.
Yes.
Because the more we are louder than the silence, the more it won't be awkward, the more it will be normal. So, well, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about grief and loss, which are often isolating. But before we go, Caitlyn, tell folks how they can connect with you, get a copy of your book, and learn more about Stop Soldier Suicide.
Yeah, go to stopsoldiersuicide.org to learn all about what we're up to and how you can get involved. You can find me on LinkedIn, Caitlyn Scaggs. I'd be happy to connect there. And then my book is on Amazon. It's called Worth It and Wonderful, and it's got a bright red cover, so you can't miss it.
Thank you so much. I'm Erica Gifford Mills, and you are listening to a special military mental health episode of Get Rooted Radio, living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Tired of feeling exhausted as a parent? I would love to help you with a new vision for yourself that is focused on intentional wellness parenting. My name is Aurelie Cormier, and I have over 40 years experience with complex cancer patients. I offer consultations, coaching, and educational programs for parents who want to boost their health and reduce risk of disease, especially cancer. For more information, go to aureliecormier.com.
Are you ready to listen to your soul? Discover the power of pausing and turning in on Our Soul Whisper with Kathy Belmont and Dr. Pat. This sacred show offers a safe space for self-discovery, healing, and soulful transformation. Let your inner voice rise, be heard, and gently guided into expression. Tune in every first and third Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. Subscribe now so you never miss the whisper meant just for you. Visit OurSoulWhisper.com.
Rethinking your purpose in life? Become a certified hypnotherapist and regressionist today. Bryn Blankenship is a renowned certified master hypnotherapist, international instructor, and author. In addition to her own show, Afterlife Teacher, Soul Lessons Bringing You Full Circle, Bryn is a popular radio show guest who speaks about her soul expression spiritual regression, her transformative method for finding and following your soul's guidance. For more information on her hypnoregression and afterlife regression certification programs, visit brynblankenship.com.
Welcome to Shanti Mission, a school for the soul. If you're seeking personal transformation, deeper spiritual awareness, sacred music, or the support of a welcoming community, Shanti Mission offers signature workshops and healing programs in a warm and inclusive space, designed for growth and connection. For more information and to access free resources, visit shantimission.org. Together, we can anchor peace.
We're back on a special edition of Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Don't forget to visit getrootedradio.com to listen to a replay of this episode, sign up for helpful tips, and learn about upcoming events. That's getrootedradio.com. Welcome back to my guest, Caitlyn Scaggs. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
So during the last segments, we've discussed personal purpose to collective impact and connection as a lifeline. And during this segment, we're going to discuss grief and loss, which are often isolating. So we know this, grief and loss, they can be extremely isolating, but what have you learned about healing through community as you have worked with Stop Soldier Suicide?
Yeah, it's really taught me a lot on so many levels. But as you noted, it is isolating to walk through grief. And I've learned that suicide loss comes with unique aspects of grief that really sets it apart and is distinct. I have an amazing colleague, someone I know you know, Kim Burdett Bartlett, and she's taught me so much, and I've learned so much from her expertise. And along the way, what I've also realized is that figuring out how to find community and connection and others who understand the lived experience or who want to, maybe haven't been on the same journey, but are willing to listen, does create pathways for healing. I even heard you use the words of finding purpose in the loss and finding purpose through the grief. And that's something that we see within our Stop Soldier Suicide community as incredibly critical for suicide loss survivors.
It is. It's a different. It's not worse. So please know when I say it's just different, because I don't know how many times somebody would say to me, "Oh, your son was in the military. Oh, he passed away. Was it combat?" No, I said he took his own life. And they go, "Oh," and all of a sudden it's a whisper, and I'm like, "No, no whisper. There's please don't whisper, because that's where we get the stigma, and that's where people start going silent." And, can be a very grief adverse society to begin with. People don't know what to say. And sometimes if you just sit with somebody, you listen to their story, that it can be very healing for everybody. And I think when we take the time to not isolate ourselves or step away from others when they're going through this, it helps everybody involved, not just the person who's going through it, but you, because you never know when you might be put in that circumstance.
Yeah.
But I think those lived experiences are very helpful. And I'm sure that you've seen, storytelling or speaking about lived experiences help people let go of the belief that they have to be strong or handle things alone. Do you see that quite a bit in your work?
Oh man, every day. It's one of the most powerful things I get to witness in the work that I do. And if I might, I'd love to share a story about someone who I get to talk to regularly, who's been such an inspiration in this regard and has helped me understand the power of storytelling and voice, and the invitation it presents. So I have this amazing coworker, Chris Stevens. He is a creative specialist, which I'm going to say, AKA graphic design guru. He's just phenomenal. And he actually came to SSS because he is a suicide loss survivor. He first came to us through one of those Facebook challenges that we referenced earlier in the show, because he lost his brother, Mike, to suicide. Mike was in the Navy, and Chris was grieving and looking for something to do, looking for that purpose, for that way forward. And what ended up happening is he connected with us, and he was already a runner, and he established a community called Miles for Mike. So you've got to look it up on Instagram. If you're listening and you're able to pull up the gram, go ahead and find Chris and Miles for Mike, because what he created is a community that has now gone international of people who are following his journey. They're remembering Mike regularly. I mean, nearly daily. Chris has beautiful updates and shares, but each mile he goes running, he's a runner, is a meaningful mile. And that's what he talks about, these meaningful miles. And it gives him a way to keep Mike near and keep him present in his life and invite others into who Mike is to Chris. And at the same time, he uses it as a conduit to suicide awareness and fundraising for Stop Soldier Suicide. I mean, it's all hitting all cylinders all at once. It's community, it's connection, it's storytelling, it's creative output for Chris. It's a purpose forward, it's fundraising for suicide prevention. I mean, it is really just this shining example of how to take a grief journey and in a way that's true to who Chris is, as each grief journey needs to be. He's doing something so beautiful and powerful with it. So truly someone who inspires me. I get the privilege to work with him each and every day. So that is one anecdote of how I've seen this applied in an action.
Yeah. So if we can have that grief and loss not be so isolating, because you already feel like it is, and reach out and do something. Yeah, I think that is amazing. And I'm definitely gonna look on the gram and look that up, because I think that's wonderful. So what has this work taught you about compassion? not only for others, but for yourself?
Yeah, well, it has certainly, this may sound trite, but has made life feel so much more real and visceral to bump up to this work each and every day, to talk about suicide daily, has prompted in me a need to be even more grateful for the life that I have. And I mean that with all sincerity, that it's a profound awareness of the good, because I do have the distinct privilege of sitting and connecting with folks who are experiencing unimaginable loss. And I, in a way, feel like I owe it to them and to this issue, and to live forward with enthusiasm and with gratitude. And so that's always been my posture, especially because of some things I saw as a police officer. But it has renewed my commitment to live with gratitude and enthusiasm, in tandem. That idea of compassion. I just was not aware of some of the statistics until I stepped into this work. I was not aware of the gravity of the issue. I was not aware of how far-reaching a suicide loss is. So one statistic for us to consider is 135 people are directly impacted by one suicide loss. So when you think about that ripple effect of loss, it really makes me sit and think about, how am I showing compassion to the people I interact with on a daily basis, not knowing the battles they may be fighting? Because as we've discussed, so many present a facade of, I'm fine, it's good, I've got this, but secretly things are so hard on the inside, and we just won't know. It's that saying of, so many people are fighting battles we know nothing about, whether it's our best friend, our brother, our son, or perhaps the grocery store clerk. This world needs more compassion and kindness, because the data tells us that there's so many people hurting who are never going to raise their hand. So this work has had this really refining quality for me in my own life, and who I want to be and how I want to show up in this world. Because now I've seen the statistics, and I've talked with the loss survivors, and I can't unknow the things that I now know because of my work with Stop Soldier Suicide.
Sounds very menial, but you think about it. You buy a red car, and all of a sudden there's all these red cars where you never saw a red car before.
Yes.
And that's, or you get cancer, and all of a sudden you're like, next thing you know, this person has cancer. Like, it's, and it's not that it's happening more, it's, you are now more aware. And yes, it is a sad club to have to join, someplace that we hope that we would never have. But at the same time, if we can help reduce it, and I know that is one of the things that Stop Soldier Suicide is all about. Their goal, and correct me if I'm wrong, but to reduce by 40% by the year 2030.
Yes.
And that's, I mean, it can be done if we all work together, if we all come together as a community to be louder than the silence, to stop the stigma and get the help, where ask the awkward questions to encourage folks to get the help. That is something that can definitely be done.
Yeah, I believe it demands action, to your point. So this crisis and this awareness, and even the awareness of the profound grief that sits on the other side, if we don't take action, all of that should drive us to say, what is my role in this work? What is my role in this fight? There is a place at the table for everyone. That's something I'm so certain of, is everyone can do something to help turn this epidemic on its head, to help solve the suicide crisis within the military and beyond. There's something for each of us that we can do.
Yes. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to finish out the show with hope, purpose, and what comes next. You're listening to a special military mental health edition of Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Erica Gifford Mills has written the book that is about to change your life. If you yearn to branch out, to take a leap of faith, to love yourself and others fully, and to finally let go of whatever no longer serves you, then Erica's book, The Rooted Life, Live, Love, Let Go, is for you. Readers will learn about how their values affect every aspect of their lives, why self-care and self-love is a critical first step to stopping limiting beliefs and negative thoughts in their tracks. The Rooted Life Live, Love, Let Go teaches readers who are ready to unlearn unhealthy patterns to set, communicate, and keep their boundaries, to live with passion on purpose, and to create goals with the intention of putting them into action. Once you pick up your own copy along with the companion workbook, you'll be one step closer to being fully equipped, empowered, and enlightened on your path to be yourself for yourself. If you're ready to plant powerful and intentional roots to live it up, love it up, and let it go, visit GetRootedRadio.com.
Festa della Donna with Esther Graham honors all women far beyond a single day of celebration. Regardless of your race, gender, sexual orientation, or religion, Esther helps you rise to your full potential to live fully in God's plan and to do what you were divinely created to do. Festa della Donna offers programs that help you fulfill your dreams and desires. For more information and to get your free copy of the Festa della Donna Retreat Self-Care Guide, visit fdbwomen.com.
Want a speaker who can inspire your audience and keep them laughing and learning all in the same moment? I'm Erica Gummany, and that's exactly what I hope to do when blending personal stories, deeper spiritual insights, and practical wisdom with a whole lot of humor that keeps everyone engaged. My intention is to create safe, transformative spaces where real growth and connection happen. Book me to speak or facilitate something amazing at yourpivotalpoint.com.
Without Fear is a Chattanooga-based death doula practice helping individuals and families navigate end-of-life transitions with grace, courage, and compassion. Death doula Alexis provides emotional support, practical guidance, and space to explore life's deepest questions. Through grief support, workshops, and education, Without Fear is breaking the taboo around death and empowering people to embrace mortality as part of living fully. Visit withoutfeardoula.com to learn more and find a safe space for all things life, death, and the in-between.
There is more to life than simply surviving or even thriving. There's flourishing. High performance and quantum success coach Beth Larson helps you calibrate and elevate your life. Beth specializes in working with women who want more from their life, more energy, joy, passion, connection, and more meaning. As your coach, she will help you get clear about your life, prioritize what's important, and become a master of your energy. Visit BethLarsonCoaching.com.
Welcome back to a special edition of Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills, living it up, loving it up, letting it go. If you missed any of the information during the last segments or to listen to a replay, go to getrootedradio.com. Don't forget to subscribe, sign up for tips and special events and pricing for upcoming coaching and speaking sessions at getrootedradio.com. Welcome back to my guest, Caitlyn Scaggs from Stop Soldier Suicide. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. It's been wonderful.
So can you tell folks how they can connect with you, get a copy of your book, and learn more about Stop Soldier Suicide?
Yeah, absolutely. So learn more about Stop Soldier Suicide by going to stopsoldiersuicide.org. You can find ways to get involved, learn more about our organization, and also you can find a Get Help button if you or someone you love needs support. To find me, look on LinkedIn, Caitlyn Scaggs. I'd be happy to connect with you there. And then if you're interested in reading my book, Worth It and Wonderful, you can find it on Amazon. It's got a bright red cover and a big heart. You'll know you found it when you find it.
Thank you so much. So during the last segments, we've discussed personal purpose to collective impact, connection as a lifeline, grief and loss that can often be isolating. And during this last segment, we're going to discuss hope, purpose, and what's next. So you mentioned it a little earlier about there's a place for everyone. But how can everyday people cultivate deeper connection in their own lives and in the lives of others?
Well, in one way, I want to say it is with eye contact, with really, and I mean that a little tongue in cheek, but truly is carving out time for other people that is meaningful. It's great that we can connect digitally and stay in touch over Facebook, but I would challenge to take that to the next level and find time to meet with folks in person, to really spend time side by side, to allow for that rich human connection that can be healing, preventative, and allow us to just really have the sense of belonging we need to be well. So that would be something important I would recommend.
I love it. So what gives you hope right now for this epidemic, right? For personally and for professionally, what gives you hope for the future?
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many things. So personally, I find hope in people. I find hope in the resolve of the colleagues I work with who are so missionally aligned to get to service members and veterans sooner to truly save lives. And I can't even emphasize enough how I work with the most incredible group of people, and every day I feel the tenacity in this fight. So they give me hope because I get to see behind the hood to see what's driving the Stop Soldier Suicide mission forward. I have hope when I talk to loss survivors who have been through something I've not personally been through, that I can't even begin to imagine the pain, and yet I see their resolve and I see them put one foot in front of the other. I don't know how they do it, but they do. And they make meaning and purpose from something excruciatingly painful. And that resolve and strength gives me hope. On an organizational and professional level, I do have to call out Black Box Project. You know, we talked about it much earlier in the segment, but this is how we are living courageously and brave enough to solve suicide at scale. So we are doing something, it feels like what no man has done before, right? We are aiming for Mars. We are doing the thing that has not yet been done, but we believe we can do it. And we have the expertise on staff to do it. And this groundbreaking data initiative, it just moves me to action because of what I know it can do, and because it may be a moonshot goal, but we know already what we've achieved in the project is phenomenal. And in some ways, we're just getting started. And that gives me so much hope that the future, in fact, can be different, that we can, in fact, curb the rates of suicide within the military community and beyond, that we can ensure more dads and sons and wives and daughters and friends make it to the Thanksgiving table, and that chairs aren't empty. All of that gives me so much hope.
I love that. And listeners, if you are interested in the Black Box Project, don't worry. Next month, we will be having an episode just on that, a special military mental health episode on the Black Box Project, because it is very groundbreaking. And I love it. And I personally am partial, of course, to Stop Soldier Suicide. Last year, we had a first annual mental health awareness and suicide prevention for active military and veterans. And Stop Soldier Suicide was the beneficiary of that. And this year, again, we're going to be holding the second annual mental health awareness and suicide prevention for active military and veterans event in memory of my son, who was a United States Marine Corps Sergeant, Connor Mills, the pride and joy of my life. And this gathering truly brings together families, community members, wellness providers, veteran-focused organizations, and local businesses. And what I love so much about it is that it's all united to support mental health, connection, and hope, just like we've been talking about. And Stop Soldier Suicide is going to be our beneficiary again this year. Our goal, folks, is to raise $25,000 to support veterans and service members before a moment of crisis becomes irreversible. So if you want to come, please, Saturday, July 18th, it is going to be in Newton Falls, Ohio, at the wonderful Five Forest Distillery. We are looking for booths. We are looking for donors. We are looking for sponsors. Message me here at the show. We will also have the link to the donation page where you can donate directly. So if you cannot attend, but you still feel the urge to donate to this wonderful organization, you can donate right on the page. All proceeds go to Stop Soldier Suicide. And this is what we're talking about a community coming together. I'm not from Ohio. My son is not from Ohio, but his, best friend, best military buddies' parents are, and they so graciously offered to host it the first year when I was just not in a position to be hosting anything. And it was such a great success because of the community that rallied around it and those who from out of town who even came. So that gives me hope personally and professionally, because It's such a great organization to be able to give back to, but also the people who will tell their stories there, who come together to not be alone and to have that connection as a lifeline, to not do the grief and loss from an isolation perspective. And you learn so much about people, and to the extent that they will help others.
Yeah. I love how you are modeling exactly what we've been talking about today in your event. You are literally doing everything we've emphasized is so important as you plan and prepare for this second event. It gives me hope too.
I mean, honestly, if I didn't, I probably would never come out of my house. And I know that would not be emotionally, physically, mentally, something that would be good for me. And I want to give a legacy to my son. Like, I want to know that he will never be forgotten. And this is a way that I can give back and make sure that people are still saying his name.
Yes.
But I want to, for listeners who may be struggling, what would you want them to hear today?
Oh, well, what I want them to hear is that we need you here. We need you here. And it is a big ask when you're in a lot of pain and feeling silenced in your pain to say, I need you to ask for help. But that's what I need. That's what we need, because there are people in your community, both near and far, who are counting on you and who want you here, who value you, friends, family, coworkers. We need you here with us. So go to stopsoldiersuicide.org and click that Get Help button. If you're listening and you're not a veteran or service member, 988 is available to you always. And there is someone waiting to help you take the next steps toward healing and recovery. And we know recovery is possible. We know that it doesn't have to always be this way. It probably feels like it is always going to be this way in the moment. But what we know is research and evidence shows that there are treatment modalities to help you get to the other side of this. And we believe it for you. And we will keep believing it until you can believe it for yourself as well.
I so appreciate everything that you do personally, and also what Stop Soldier Suicide does professionally. Thank you so much. One more time, where can listeners learn more about Stop Soldier Suicide or get involved?
Yeah, please go to stopsoldiersuicide.org. You can hit the Get Help button if you need help, but you can also find all the ways to get involved, from events to Facebook challenges to making a donation. We're so grateful for all the many ways that people stand with us in this mission, and we'd love to invite you to join us in our work.
Thank you again, Caitlyn, for being on the show today.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. Thank you for having me.
And I want to thank you all for tuning into this special edition of Get Rooted Radio. If you missed any part of today's episode or want to listen again, go to getrootedradio.com for the podcast. And don't forget to tune in the first and third Monday of each month at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, and 2 p.m. Pacific, right here on Transformation Talk Revolution. As we close out today's episode, I want to remind you that you are worthy. If you are hurting or need help, please know the world needs you, and it is a better place with you in it. Don't let the hard days win. Reach out for assistance, because you do not have to carry this alone. Call or text or chat the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, or text HOME, HOME, to 741-741 to reach a trained crisis counselor through the crisis text line. Both are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and are free. Thank you for tuning in. I'm looking forward to the next time on Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, and letting it go. Visit getrootedradio.com if you've missed any part of this hit show, and tune in on transformationtalkradio.com to live fearlessly in your more and powerfully rooted in your unlimited yes. For more information and to work with Erica directly, visit getrootedradio.com. That's getrootedradio.com, and get ready to live it up, love it up, and let it go.